I really enjoy exploring the holding environment. And we've heard so many beautiful and rich talks about its importance. We come back to the holding environment, this internal temple or sanctuary of body and breath, heart and mind. We do this so that we can steady and ground, reorient, and rest. Mindfulness has been defined as a posture of non-judgmental, non-self-referential posture of caring attention, as if a dear friend or a wise elder or a beneficial presence is watching over the experience of our well-being in this moment. The posture suggests a sense of welcoming and acceptance. And it's important for us to learn how to receive these messages of welcoming, of care, of kindness, and acceptance. We want to grow our willingness to be able to receive these messages of care, because this helps our hearts to awaken and open. The heart that is cautious and closed is a heart that's been hurt. And we want to set up the conditions of our holding environment that allow and support the heart to open and to be stronger and to heal. I want to ask you, who and or what or where helps you feel held, helps you to trust into your goodness, just as you are. I want to bring a little more focus to the feeling of being held and loved. How does it feel to be held in a gaze of welcome, in a gaze of kindness, or in a gaze of delight? The child who is held and loved in a field of kindness begins to trust in this. And when the world or those important people who have, who were there to hold us haven't been so trustworthy, the child in us begins to build walls that protect the heart. Of course we do this. Of course we do. We know the feeling of not being held. We know this. When there is an atmosphere of friendliness, the body, heart, mind begin to relax. And some of the constriction and tightness is released a little. And there's a little more room and spaciousness for us. I heard this cartoon and I thought, oh yeah, this fits. And the cartoon is about a dog who is a psychotherapist. And the dog psychotherapist is meeting their new client. And the dog therapist says to her new client, let me tell you a little bit about the way I work. I want to tell you a little bit about my approach. I'm going to lick your face and wag my tail and be really happy, genuinely happy to see you every time I see you. I'm going to do this again and again and again. I'm going to do it until you really begin to like yourself. So this is sweet, sweet. It may be a little sloppy, but it's effective. Who, what, or where helps us to remember that we are lovable and that we belong. Because one expression of suffering is forgetting that we are intrinsically lovable and worthy and that we belong. Something that really rescued and reinvigorated my practice was a practice known as the benefactor practice. And it helped me to open to the felt sense of compassion. Because without that lens of compassion, my mindfulness practice was kind of dry. It's kind of like the difference between talking about honey and actually tasting honey. And Lori talked about this on Monday, that difference between cognitive understanding and really heartfelt feeling, experiencing. I was taking a certificate course at the Institute for Meditation and Psychotherapy, and this particular class had been it had already occurred. So I was watching a recording. I was by myself, and the practice was introduced by John McCransky. And the support was so simple. We hear this support here. Bring to mind someone who was delighted to see you because you are who you are. Just because you are who you are. Someone in whose presence you could absolutely, completely, totally be yourself. And I think we all had this experience where we've heard something over and over again, but then we hear it in a way that's different. We resonate with it. And that's what occurred for me in that moment. I knew right away that the beneficial presence was my grandmother, and my heart opened. And I wanted to look to the person to my left or to my right and say, did you feel that too? The encouragement in this practice, this is what we do here also, was to stay with the felt experience of the acceptance, of the delight, of the warmth, to notice when we are distracted, when we are pulled away, and to kindly come back. And it was also to some of the imagery was to receive this, to receive the warmth and acceptance like a cat on a sun-drenched porch, soaking up all the rays of the sun. And allowing this sense of warmth and acceptance to come into every part of us, every cell, our insecurities, our fears, our worries, our strengths, our grief, our hopes. And I did this over and over again. We can look at this as a reconditioning practice so that the unconditional qualities of love, of care can come forward. I don't call on my grandmother for equanimity. I call on her when I want to feel that sense of love. And you may or may not know this, but the benefactor practice comes from Buddhist devotional practices. And the most common one is that of taking refuge, visualizing a field of caring spiritual figures in whom one's can place one's trust and from whom one can receive inspiration and unconditional love and guidance. And here's Winnicott's holding environment 2,000 years ago. So it's helpful, I think, to think about this as moments. A moment when someone was with you in a very simple and caring and loving way. Friends or strangers, a camp counselor, a coach, an aunt, an uncle, archetypes, spiritual teachers, a bridge club, the four furry-legged ones, a sangha, a lineage of teachers, our benefactors, a benefactor moment of play or of deep listening. And there are poems and plays and music that have impressed us and helped us to open our hearts, that have inspired us. There are benefactors we're not even aware of. We want to recognize this field of care and recognize that we too are a part of it. We do this so that we can trust more and more that the benefactor is in us. And in this receiving, we deepen. And as we deepen, we have a greater capacity to offer. The Tibetan teacher, Soni Rinpoche, refers to this as essence love. And he says, you here in the West, you suffer so much because you don't trust that. You don't yet feel into that. Know that it's in you. So this is a practice, that bringing to mind moments of feeling loved and cared for that supports us in relaxing in kindness, relaxing in love. Love softens the layers of graspings and gripping, which is a source of so much distress. We can become very, very focused on the unloving aspects of our lives and in the world. It's so easy to see them. And we often overlook the countless small gestures of kindness that are happening all around us. We want to notice them and savor them and make much of them, because this helps the heart. And it helps this heart to know that moments of care and kindness are happening right now. Mindfulness has been described as a posture of non-judgmental, non-self-referential. It is a posture of caring attention, as if a dear friend or wise elder or beneficial presence is watching over the experience of well-being in this moment. Thank you for listening.